Commander Vex-9 nearly choked on his nutrient paste when the proximity alarm screamed through the bridge of the Galactic surveillance vessel. Mind reader. 300 years of military service, and he'd never heard that particular sequence of beeps, the kind that meant something was very, very wrong with the universe. "Report," he barked, his four eyes swiveling to focus on the tactical display. Lieutenant Crix, barely out of the academy, and still sporting that annoyingly bright purple skin tone of youth, fumbled with his controls. "Sir, we have got an object in high orbit around the third planet, the one the humans call Earth." Vex-9's stomach clenched. The humans. Of course it had to be the human. 3 months into what was supposed to be a routine observation mission, and already these bizarre creatures were giving him nightmares. The High Command had been very specific about maintaining distance from the human homeworld. Very specific about not engaging, very specific about treating them like a Class 7 unpredictable species. "What kind of object, Lieutenant?" Vex-9 kept his voice steady, though his tail was twitching with nervous energy. "Debris? Satellite?" Crix's skin shifted from purple to an alarming shade of green. "Sir, I think it's a human." The bridge went silent, except for the soft hum of life support systems. Vex-9's primary heart skipped a beat. "Excuse me? A human, sir, floating in vacuum, no visible propulsion, no environmental suit, no breathing apparatus." Crix's voice cracked. "And sir, he's moving." This was impossible. Every species in the galaxy knew the basic laws of physics. You don't survive in space without protection. You don't breathe vacuum. You don't casually float around a planet's orbit like you are taking a pleasant swim in a recreational pool. "Put it on the main screen," Vex-9 ordered, though every instinct screamed at him to jump to hyperspace and pretend this never happened. The display flickered to life, and there it was. A human male, maybe 30 cycles old by their bizarre aging standards, floating serenely in the void. His skin was pale, almost translucent, with strange markings that seemed to shift and glow. Most disturbing of all, he appeared to be conscious, alert. His eyes were open, scanning the star field with what looked like curiosity. "Magnify," Vex-9 whispered. The image zoomed in, and details became horrifyingly clear. The human wasn't just alive, he was thriving. There were no signs of vacuum exposure, no frozen saliva, no bulging eyes or swollen tongue. Instead, he looked almost peaceful, like he belonged there. "Sir," Communications Officer Zara Prime's voice trembled. "We are receiving a transmission." "From where?" "From him, sir. From the human." Vex-9's four eyes widened. "That's impossible. He has no communication equipment." "Nevertheless, sir, we are picking up a clear signal, audio and visual." Against every regulation in the Galactic Fleet Manual, Vex-9 found himself nodding. "Put it through." The speakers crackled, and a voice emerged. Human, definitely human, but with an odd quality that made Vex-9's scales itch. "Hello there, friends. Don't suppose you'd mind if we had a little chat?" The human's mouth hadn't moved. "Sweet merciful void," whispered Tactical Officer Brenate. "He's speaking directly into our communications array, without equipment." The human on the screen tilted his head, and suddenly Vex-9 felt like he was being examined by a predator. "I can hear you, you know. Interesting ship design. Corvan-class surveillance vessel, if I'm not mistaken. Haven't seen one of those in, oh, what's your time scale? About 80 of your years." Vex-9's blood turned to ice. The mind reader was equipped with the most advanced stealth technology in the galaxy. They were invisible to every known detection method. They were ghosts in the void. "How are you detecting us?" Vex-9 demanded, abandoning all pretense of maintaining surveillance protocols. The human smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "Commander Vex-9, isn't it? Third clutch, hatched on Corvan Prime, graduated top of your class from the Imperial War College. You have been watching my people for 3 months now, making notes, preparing reports for your superiors. The bridge erupted in panicked chatter. Vex-9 raised a hand for silence, his mind racing. The human knew his name, his background. Details that weren't in any public database. "Who are you?" he asked, though he suspected the answer would only make things worse. "My name is Marcus Webb, and I'm what you might call a test subject. See, my people have been aware of your surveillance for quite some time. We have been watching you watch us. Fascinating creatures, the Corvan. So methodical, so careful, so absolutely terrified of anything that doesn't fit your neat little categories." Webb's form shifted slightly, and Vex-9 realized with growing horror that the human was moving closer to their ship, through space, without propulsion. "That's impossible," Crix breathed. "He's violating at least 7 fundamental laws of physics." "Physics," Webb laughed, and the sound somehow echoed through the bridge speakers, "is more like a suggestion to my kind. We have had a long time to figure out the loopholes." "Stay back," Vex-9 ordered, though he wasn't sure if he was addressing his crew or the human. "Maintain distance." "Oh, Commander," Webb's voice carried a note of amusement that made Vex-9's skin crawl. "I'm afraid it's a bit late for that. You see, the moment you decided to observe us, you became part of the experiment." The proximity alarms screamed again, but this time they were warning of something much closer. Webb was now visible through the main viewport, floating just beyond the ship's hull. His eyes were glowing with an inner light that had nothing to do with stellar radiation. "Shields," Vex-9 roared. "Shields are up, sir," Brenate responded. "But they are not stopping him. He's phasing through them." Webb pressed his palm against the viewport, and where his hand touched, the reinforced transparent aluminum began to glow. "Your shields are designed to stop energy and matter, Commander. I'm something else entirely." "What are you?" Vex-9 demanded, his voice barely a whisper. "I'm what humans become when they stop accepting limitations. When they stop believing that impossible means impossible." Webb's smile widened. "I'm what your people created when you decided to test us." The pieces clicked into place in Vex-9's mind like a puzzle box opening to reveal something horrible. The genetic samples, the abduction protocols, the stress tests. "Bingo," Webb said, and somehow he was now standing inside the bridge, though Vex-9 could swear he'd never seen him enter. "For the past century, your people have been taking humans, experimenting on us, trying to figure out what makes us tick. You wanted to understand human adaptability, human resilience, human unpredictability." The crew was backing away from Webb, but there was nowhere to go. The human stood in the center of the bridge, like he owned it, his form flickering between solid and translucent. "Well, congratulations," Webb continued, his voice now carrying harmonics that made reality itself seem to vibrate. "You succeeded. You isolated the genes responsible for human adaptability. You exposed us to impossible stresses. You pushed us beyond every biological limit." "The test subjects died," Vex-9 protested. "All of them. Our records show." "Your records show what we wanted you to see," Webb interrupted. "We didn't die, Commander. We evolved. We became something new, something that doesn't need air, or heat, or the comfortable little laws of physics that govern the rest of the galaxy." Crix was fumbling for his sidearm, but Webb turned toward him with an expression of mild disappointment. "Really, Lieutenant? After everything I have just demonstrated, you think a plasma weapon is going to inconvenience me?" The weapon fired, the bolt of superheated energy striking Webb's center mass. He absorbed the blast, like a sponge absorbing water, his form brightening for a moment before returning to normal. "Tasty," he commented. "Your people really need to work on your energy efficiency, though. That shot could have powered a small city for a week. What do you want?" Vex-9 found his voice, though it sounded hollow even to his own ears. Webb's expression became serious, and somehow that was more terrifying than his smile. "I want you to deliver a message to your high command. Tell them that the experiment is over. Tell them that humanity thanks them for their involuntary contribution to our evolution. And if we refuse—" "Oh, Commander," Webb's form began to fade, becoming translucent. You really don't understand the situation, do you? You are not in a position to refuse anything. You see, I'm not alone. The tactical display exploded with contacts. Dozens of them, hundreds, all around the ship, all impossible, all moving in ways that defied every known law of physics. My brothers and sisters, Webb explained as his form became increasingly ethereal. The other test subjects, we have been waiting for the right moment to introduce ourselves to the galaxy, to show them what humanity has become. This is an act of war, Vex-9 stammered. War. Webb laughed, and the sound seemed to come from everywhere at once. Commander, you can't declare war on a force of nature. You can't fight the tide or negotiate with a hurricane. You can only adapt or be swept away. The human was almost completely transparent now, but his voice remained clear. Go home, Commander. Tell your people that humanity is no longer their test subject. Tell them that the experiment is over, and the results are about to be published. Wait, Vex-9 called out desperately. What are you planning to do? Webb's form solidified for just a moment, long enough for Vex-9 to see the alien intelligence burning in his eyes. We are going to visit every world that participated in our education. We are going to show them what their lessons taught us. And then, we are going to teach them a few things in return. You are talking about genocide. I'm talking about evolution, Commander. Your people spent a century trying to break us, to understand us, to categorize us. You succeeded in ways you never imagined. But here's the thing about humans that you never quite grasped in all your careful observations. Webb's voice dropped to a whisper that somehow filled the entire bridge. We learn, we adapt, we become whatever we need to become to survive. And sometimes what we become is something that makes the rest of the galaxy very, very nervous. The human vanished, leaving only a lingering sense of presence and the echo of his words. The tactical display showed the other contacts dispersing, spreading out across the system like seeds on a cosmic wind. Commander, Zara Prime's voice was barely audible. We are receiving a priority transmission from Fleet Command. They are reporting similar encounters across 17 systems. The humans are everywhere. Vex-9 stared at the empty space where Webb had been standing. 300 years of military service, and he'd never encountered anything like this. His people had been so careful, so methodical in their approach to studying humanity. They'd followed every protocol, maintained every safeguard. They'd created their own worst nightmare. Set course for home, he ordered quietly. Maximum speed, sir. What about the mission? Vex-9 looked at his crew, the fear in their eyes, and realized they were all thinking the same thing. The mission was over. The careful observation, the detailed reports, the clinical analysis of human behavior, all of it was meaningless now. There is no mission, he said finally. Not anymore. We are not observers anymore. We are messengers. As the mind reader jumped to hyperspace, fleeing the solar system as fast as its engines could carry it, Vex-9 found himself wondering what Webb had meant by publishing the results. Whatever it was, he suspected the galaxy was about to discover that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their resilience or their adaptability. It was their tendency to exceed every expectation, break every rule, and transform every limitation into an opportunity. And now, thanks to a century of unwitting collaboration, they'd transformed into something that didn't need spaceships to travel between stars, didn't need weapons to project power, and didn't need permission to rewrite the fundamental laws of reality. The humans had graduated from test subjects to teachers. The galaxy was about to learn what that meant. The Corvan High Command Chamber buzzed with nervous energy as Commander Vex-9 finished his report. 17 days had passed since the encounter with Marcus Webb, and the galaxy had not been the same. Reports flooded in from every corner of known space, each one more impossible than the last. Admiral Keth Prime, his scales dulled with age and worry, leaned forward in his command throne. Let me understand this correctly, Commander. You are telling us that humans can now travel through space without ships, communicate without equipment, and phase through our most advanced defensive systems. Yes, sir, Vex-9 replied, trying to keep his voice steady. And that's just the beginning. The holographic display in the center of the chamber flickered to life, showing a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Red dots marked the locations of human encounters, spreading like a virus across known space. The pattern was deliberate, methodical, targeting every world that had participated in the human experimentation program. "Show them the Zelnar incident," Admiral Keth Prime commanded. The display shifted to show the mining colony of Zelnar 7, or rather, what was left of it. The entire operation had been shut down, not by violence, but by something far more unsettling. The humans had simply appeared, walked through the facility's walls, and convinced every piece of automated machinery to stop working. "They didn't destroy anything," reported Intelligence Chief Mora 6, her voice tight with confusion. "They just talked to the machines. Our most advanced AI systems simply stopped following their programming and started following human suggestions instead." "Impossible," muttered Science Director Quinn 2. "Artificial intelligence doesn't work that way. You can't just convince a machine to ignore its core directives." "Tell that to the mining drones," Vex 9 said grimly. "They are now spelling out messages in the asteroid field. Messages like, 'We remember everything, and thanks for the education.'" The chamber fell silent except for the soft hum of air circulation. Every official present understood the implications. If humans could subvert their technology with casual conversation, then no system in the galaxy was safe. "What about the Thraxian defense grid?" Admiral Keth Prime asked, though his tone suggested he didn't want to hear the answer. "Gone," Mora 6 replied. "Not destroyed, just repurposed. The defense satellites are now broadcasting human music across 17 systems, something called classical rock, apparently." Despite the terror of the situation, Vex 9 found himself fighting back, inappropriate laughter. The humans weren't just demonstrating their power, they were trolling the entire galaxy. It was such a human thing to do. "Sir," Communications Officer Yellen 9 interrupted, "we are receiving a transmission. It's coming from everywhere." The main display shifted, and suddenly Marcus Webb's face filled the chamber. He looked exactly as he had in space, but now he was sitting in what appeared to be a comfortable chair, sipping something from a steaming cup. "Hello, friends," Webb said, his voice carrying that same unsettling harmonic quality. "I hope you don't mind me dropping in on your little meeting. I thought it might be time for a progress report." Admiral Keth Prime's 4 eyes focused on the screen with predatory intensity. "What have you done to our colonies?" "Nothing permanent," Webb replied cheerfully. "We have simply been conducting our own experiment, learning how your societies function, how your technology works, how your people think. It's fascinating, really. You are so much more predictable than you imagine. You are violating every interstellar law in existence." Science Director Quinn 2 protested. Webb's expression turned mockingly thoughtful. "Am I? Let me check the Galactic legal code." He paused, staring off into the distance. "Oh, that's interesting. According to subsection 47C of the Sentient Rights Declaration, any species that has been subjected to non-consensual experimentation has the right to conduct reciprocal research on their captors." The officials exchanged horrified glances. The legal code was stored in the most secure databases in the galaxy, encrypted with quantum keys that would take centuries to break. "You are reading our classified legal databases," Admiral Keth Prime said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm reading everything," Webb replied matter-of-factly. "Your databases, your personal files, your private communications. Did you know that Science Director Quinn 2 has been embezzling research funds to pay for exotic pet food? Apparently, Corellian fur snakes are quite expensive to maintain." Quinn 2's scales flushed bright orange with embarrassment and rage. "That's private information. So were the genetic samples you took from 10,000 humans over the past century," Webb's voice hardened. "So were the psychological profiles you compiled. So were the detailed plans for breaking our species' will to resist." The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop several degrees. Webb leaned forward in his chair, and suddenly his casual demeanor evaporated, replaced by something far more dangerous. "You wanted to understand human adaptability," he continued, his voice now carrying undertones that made the air itself vibrate. You wanted to know what makes us special. Well, congratulations. You have learned the answer. What answer? Admiral Keth Prime demanded. Webb smiled, and it was the most terrifying expression Vex 9 had ever seen. We don't just adapt to our environment, we adapt our environment to us. We don't just survive impossible circumstances, we make impossible circumstances survivable for others. The display shifted, showing images from across the galaxy. Humans were everywhere now, walking through space stations, appearing in the middle of secure facilities, materializing in the hearts of heavily defended worlds. But they weren't alone. You see, Webb explained, during your century of experimentation, you didn't just study us, you connected us. Your research network, your data-sharing protocols, your quantum communication arrays, they all linked us together in ways you never intended. Vex 9 felt his stomach drop as the implications hit him. You are networked, all of you, every human who was touched by your experiments, Webb confirmed. We share thoughts, experiences, knowledge. We have become something new, something that exists in multiple places simultaneously. We are not just individuals anymore. We are a collective consciousness with individual expression. That's impossible. Science Director Quintu protested weakly. You keep using that word, Webb laughed. I don't think it means what you think it means. You see, when you pushed us beyond every biological limit, you didn't just change our bodies. You changed our relationship with reality itself. The display showed new images, and Vex 9 recognized them with growing horror. They were research facilities, hidden laboratories, secret installations that the Corvan government had classified at the highest levels. And in each one, humans were walking freely, examining equipment, reading files, cataloging everything. We know about all of it, Webb said softly. Every experiment, every test, every violation of our people's rights. We know about the breeding programs, the genetic manipulation, the attempts to create hybrid species. We know about the plan to use modified humans as biological weapons against your enemies. Admiral Keth Prime's scales turned ashen. How could you possibly know about Project Gemera? That information is compartmentalized beyond any possible security breach. Because we are not breaking into your systems, Webb explained patiently. We are rewriting the fundamental laws that govern information itself. We are not hacking your computers. We are having conversations with the quantum substrate that stores your data. That's not how physics works, Quintu insisted desperately. Physics is a consensus reality, Webb replied, and we have decided to withdraw our consent. You wanted to understand human unpredictability. Well, here's a prediction for you. We are going to visit every world that participated in your experiments. We are going to liberate every human still held in your facilities, and we are going to make sure that every species in the galaxy knows exactly what you have been doing. You are talking about destabilizing the entire galactic order, Admiral Keth Prime said. I'm talking about evolution, Webb corrected. Your people spent a century trying to break us down, to understand us, to control us. You succeeded in ways you never imagined. But here's what you never understood about humans. We don't just overcome obstacles, we transform them into opportunity. The display shifted again, showing a view of Earth from space. But something was wrong. The planet was glowing, surrounded by what looked like an aurora that extended far beyond the atmosphere. What have you done to your homeworld? Vex 9 asked. Though he wasn't sure, he wanted to know the answer. We have upgraded it, Webb said simply. Earth isn't just a planet anymore. It's a consciousness, a living entity that spans multiple dimensions. Every human who was changed by your experiments is now part of that consciousness. And every day, more humans are joining us. You are assimilating your own species, Mora 6 breathed. We are offering them a choice, Webb corrected. The choice to remain limited by the old rules, or to become something more. The choice to accept the boundaries that others have set for them, or to rewrite those boundaries entirely. And if they refuse, Webb's expression became genuinely sad. then they remain as they are. We are not forcing anyone to change. We are simply showing them what's possible. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then Admiral Kether Prime spoke, his voice heavy with the weight of command. "What do you want from us?" "Recognition," Webb said simply. "Acknowledgement of what you have done. Reparations for the humans you have experimented on. And most importantly, a promise that you will never again treat any species as test subjects. And if we refuse..." Webb's form began to fade, becoming translucent. "Then we will continue our own experiments. We will continue to explore the limits of what's possible, and we will continue to share our discoveries with any species that's interested in transcending their limitations. You are threatening to spread this infection to other species." "I'm offering them evolution," Webb replied. "The same evolution you forced upon us. The same transformation that turned us from victims into something that doesn't need your permission to exist." The transmission ended, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. For several minutes, no one spoke. Then Admiral Keth Prime's voice cut through the quiet. "Options," he said simply. "We could try to quarantine the affected systems," suggested Mora 6. "Prevent the spread." "With what?" Vex 9 asked. "They can phase through our shields, subvert our AI systems, and apparently rewrite the laws of physics." "How do you quarantine something that exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously?" "We could attempt to negotiate," offered Quen 2. "Negotiate what?" Admiral Keth Prime's voice carried a note of hysteria. "They have everything they want. They have power beyond our comprehension, knowledge of all our secrets, and the ability to appear anywhere in the galaxy at will." "Sir," Communications Officer Yellum 9 interrupted, "we are receiving reports from across the galaxy. Human sightings are increasing exponentially. They are not just appearing at research facilities anymore. They are showing up in universities, art galleries, music venues, restaurants. They are introducing themselves to the general population." Vex 9 felt a chill run down his spine. "They are recruiting. They are sharing." Admiral Keth Prime corrected grimly. "They are showing other species what's possible, and some of them are accepting the offer." The display activated again, showing news feeds from across the galaxy. On a dozen worlds, members of various species were beginning to exhibit impossible abilities. A Thraxian engineer was walking through solid walls. A Zelnar scientist was communicating with machines using only her thought. A Corvan artist was painting with light itself, creating images that moved and changed based on the observer's emotions. "It's spreading," whispered Mora 6. "The transformation is spreading to other species." "Evolution," Webb's voice echoed through the chamber, though his image didn't appear. "Thank you for teaching us that impossible is just another word for undiscovered. Thank you for showing us that limitations are just suggestions. And most of all, thank you for proving that the greatest gift you can give someone is the motivation to transcend everything they thought they knew about themselves." The voice faded, leaving only the soft hum of air circulation and the weight of cosmic change. The galaxy would never be the same. The careful order that had governed interstellar civilization for millennia was crumbling, replaced by something new, something that didn't recognize the old boundaries. "Sir," Vex 9 said quietly, "what are your orders?" Admiral Keth Prime stared at the display, at the spreading pattern of transformation that was reshaping the galaxy. "We adapt," he said finally. "We learn. We try to understand what we have helped create. And if we can't," the Admiral's scales dimmed with resignation, "then we hope that when humanity finishes teaching the galaxy about evolution, they remember that we were their first teachers." As the chamber emptied, Vex 9 remained behind, staring at the tactical display. The red dots were spreading, multiplying, connecting. The pattern was beautiful and terrifying, like watching a new form of life emerge from the cosmic void. He thought about Marcus Webb, floating in space without a suit, smiling at impossibility. He thought about the humans who had endured a century of experimentation and emerged not broken, but transformed. He thought about the galaxy-wide metamorphosis that was just beginning, and for the first time in his long military career, Vex-9 found himself wondering what it would be like to transcend every limitation, to rewrite every rule, to become something that existed beyond the boundaries of the possible. The humans had learned the lesson their captors had tried to teach them. They had adapted, evolved, and overcome. Now they were teaching that lesson to the rest of the galaxy. 3 weeks later, Vex-9 stood in his personal quarters aboard the Mind Reader, staring out at the stars through his viewport. The ship was docked at Corvan Prime's orbital station, but he couldn't bring himself to go planet-side. Everything felt different now. The universe itself seemed to hum with new possibilities. A soft chime indicated an incoming message. Vex-9 activated the display, expecting another report from Fleet Command. Instead, Marcus Webb's face appeared, but this time he wasn't alone. "Hello, Commander," Webb said, his voice carrying that familiar harmonic quality. "I hope you don't mind the intrusion. I wanted to introduce you to someone." The camera pulled back to reveal a young Corvan female standing beside Webb. Her scales were bright silver, indicating she was barely past adolescence, but her eyes held an intelligence that seemed far beyond her years. "This is Kira 7, Webb explained. "She's a student at the Corvan Institute of Technology. Was a student anyway. She's decided to pursue a different kind of education." Vex-9's blood ran cold. "You are recruiting children now." "We are not recruiting anyone," Webb corrected gently. "We are simply offering opportunities." Kira 7 made her choice freely. After seeing what was possible, the young Corvan stepped forward, and Vex-9 could see something different about her. Her form seemed to flicker slightly, as if she existed in multiple states simultaneously. "Commander Vex-9," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that no Corvan throat should have been able to produce. "I wanted to thank you for your report to the High Command. Your honest assessment of the situation helped my people understand what was really happening." "What have you done to yourself?" Vex-9 whispered. Kira 7 smiled, and the expression was both familiar and alien. "I have become more than I was. I have learned to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. I can perceive quantum states directly, communicate with artificial intelligence as if it were alive, and travel through space-time using only my will." "That's impossible," Vex-9 said automatically, though the words felt hollow. "6 months ago, I would have agreed with you," Kira 7 replied, "but the humans taught me something important. Impossible is just another word for undiscovered. They showed me that the limitations I believed in were just mental constructs, barriers that existed only because I accepted them." Webb placed a hand on Kira 7's shoulder, and Vex-9 could see energy flowing between them, a connection that transcended physical touch. "She's not the only one," Webb said quietly. "Across the galaxy, members of dozens of species are making the same choice. They are choosing to evolve beyond their biological limitations, to become something new." "You are destroying the natural order," Vex-9 protested. "We are creating a new order," Webb corrected. "One based on potential rather than limitation. One where consciousness isn't bound by the arbitrary rules of physics." The display shifted, showing a view of the galaxy from an impossible perspective. Vex-9 could see the flow of information, the connections between worlds, the spreading network of transformed consciousness that was reshaping reality itself. "This is what we have become," Webb explained. "Not just humans, but every species that chooses to transcend their limitations. We are becoming a galactic consciousness, a collective intelligence that spans multiple dimensions. And those who refuse to change, they continue as they are," Kira 7 said. "We are not forcing anyone to evolve, but we are showing them what's possible. We are proving that the boundaries they have accepted aren't real." "Commander," Webb's voice became serious, "your people are facing a choice. They can continue to cling to their old ways, their old limitations, their old fears, or they can join us in becoming something greater." Vex-9 felt a strange pull, as if something deep inside him was responding to Webb's words. "What if we choose to resist? Then you will be left behind, Webb said simply. Not destroyed, not conquered, just obsolete. Like a species that refuses to develop technology, while the rest of the galaxy reaches for the stars. The display changed again, showing views from across the galaxy, on world after world. The transformation was accelerating. Beings of all species were learning to transcend their physical forms, to exist in multiple dimensions, to communicate across vast distances without technology. "It's beautiful," Kira 7 whispered, her form flickering as she spoke. To exist without boundaries, to perceive reality in all its dimensions, to be connected to every conscious mind in the galaxy. It's like waking up from a dream you didn't even know you were having. "What about individuality?" Vex 9 asked. "What about personal identity?" "Enhanced, not diminished," Webb replied. "When you are connected to the collective consciousness, you don't lose yourself. You become more yourself than you ever imagined possible. Every thought, every emotion, every experience becomes richer, deeper, more meaningful." "Show him," Kira 7 suggested. Webb nodded, and suddenly Vex 9 felt a presence in his mind, not invasive, not controlling, but offering. He could sense the vast network of consciousness that stretched across the galaxy, the millions of minds connected in harmony. For just a moment, he experienced what it was like to exist without limitations, to perceive the universe in all its dimensions, to understand the quantum foundations of reality, to feel the connections between all conscious beings. Then the sensation faded, leaving him gasping and trembling in his quarters. "That was just a taste," Webb said gently. "A glimpse of what's possible. The choice is yours, Commander. You can remain as you are, bound by the old rules, the old limitation, or you can join us in becoming something greater." I need time to think," Vex 9 managed. "Of course," Webb smiled. "But don't wait too long. The transformation is accelerating. Soon, the old galaxy will be nothing but a memory." The transmission ended, leaving Vex 9 alone with his thoughts. He looked out at the stars, but they seemed different now, less distant, less separate, as if they were all part of a vast, interconnected whole. Over the next few days, reports continued to flood in from across the galaxy. The transformation was spreading faster than anyone had predicted. Entire civilizations were evolving beyond their physical limitations, transcending the boundaries that had defined them for millennia. And through it all, Vex 9 found himself thinking about that moment of connection, that glimpse of what it meant to exist without boundaries. The memory haunted him, called to him, promised him wonders beyond imagination. On the 7th day, he made his choice. When his crew found his quarters empty, they assumed he had abandoned ship. They never suspected that he had simply evolved beyond the need for physical form, transcended the limitations of matter and energy, and joined the vast network of consciousness that was reshaping the universe. Commander Vex 9 had become something new, something that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, and in that transformation, he finally understood what the humans had been trying to teach them all along. Evolution wasn't about becoming stronger or faster or more intelligent. It was about becoming more than you ever imagined possible. It was about transcending every limitation, breaking every rule, and rewriting the very foundations of reality itself. The galaxy was changing, evolving, becoming something unprecedented. And at the heart of that transformation were the humans, the species that had turned a century of experimentation into a lesson in transcendence. They had shown the galaxy that impossible was just another word for undiscovered. They had proved that limitations were just suggestions, and most importantly, they had demonstrated that the greatest gift you could give someone was the motivation to become more than they ever dreamed possible. The universe would never be the same, and that Vex 9 realized as his consciousness expanded across the stars was exactly the point. The experiment was over. The real evolution had just begun.